broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
We're going back there.
Yeah, I'm like, you too.
Welcome tonight to AfterBuzz TV, The Prayer of David, episode 4, which I feel like I should be saying in Hebrew, actually.
Can you?
I'll say a little bit of Hebrew at the end of the show, so you'll have to stick around for that. And then this is an amazing, extremely intelligent show tonight. I mean, I'm so into it. And I'm Mindy Thomas. Thanks for being here tonight. And my super fun co-host from Long Island herself.
Long Island. Oh my God, that was terrible. I know, you love that. Thanks. Thanks, my Texan. Hey everyone, I'm your co-host, Andrea Fasano, and you can tweet me at Andy Fasano.
And you can tweet me at Mindy Charlotte, and we want to hear from you. We are inundated with some tweets, but we'll go into that more at the end of the show.
Yes.
First, let's hop into the show open tonight. Peter Connelly is totally at the library studying clues, and he gets on it. They have the journal from the girl who had passed away.
Yep.
And because she knew too much from the caves and the water, remember in the season premiere. So they are
Emma
looking,
Wilson.
Correct. Emma Wilson is the actress, and then also Alison Sudol. Alison Sudol is the real actress.
Right.
And Emma Wilson is the character.
Did you know she's actually a singer?
Oh.
Yep, she's a singer. So because I looked her up, I said, she sounds and looks so familiar. I don't know what she would have been in, and then I saw she's actually a singer. I was shocked. I was
Maybe
like,
she'll be at House of Blues sometime
maybe.
soon.
Hi, can we find out answers to Dig? Screw your music.
So Peter Connelly and then Ori Pfeffer, they, Detective Cohen, they are on this investigation trying to find out more and more clues, and they end up doing just that. But there was a big stunner tonight.
Lots, I think.
What was the first one with the detective?
We found out that Detective Cohen is gay. Or, I mean, he was married to a woman and had a child with her, but he woke up next to a man this morning in this episode.
And the way that they shot it, I was like,
it was very revealing.
Is that going to be Anne Heche next to him?
You did think that, yeah?
And you were like, that was a man's voice.
Yeah. We had to actually rewind it because we were like, wait, no, back that up. That was a huge, it's so funny because when those things happen in such a intricate show, for something so simple as that you're like, oh my God, that's such a big deal, you know?
Yes, and then they're talking about picking up the children or taking the children to school.
Yeah, his son.
That was a unique conversation.
It was. Yeah. That means they clearly have a relationship. This wasn't just, I met you in a bar and we went home and nobody else knows I'm gay. Like, you're gay. Like, you're seeing this man.
And this is going to lead to a prediction for me at the end of the show.
Oh, I
just
can't wait.
a teaser.
Okay.
All right. So how did that work for you in terms of them tracking these clues and the interest thereof this evening?
I thought it was really interesting. I think the way that the whole show was shot was pretty great between the Rabbi Lev and the uncle, Cohen's uncle, Shimon. I think that's how you say
Correct,
it.
Yes.
So I thought that was a really great use of camera work and those angles and stuff, and just going back and forth between the two. Usually it's like flashbacks and, I don't know, present day, but these two were them simultaneously finding out how to track down the next stone at the same time, and I thought that was pretty cool. And great that they had the materials to do that, that the detectives were smart enough. I thought that was a pretty nice view into how smart they really are.
Yes, they go to the uncle, and he begins to unravel this mystery. So we learned a lot more of the intellectual components happening, and they went into the Dead Sea Scrolls and all of this terminology that unless you really follow it, I mean, this is extremely smart,
very,
and intelligent, and we have some viewers that are kind enough to tweet us and let us in on everything. And actually, you have some of those for later, right?
I do. I absolutely do. And you guys, we're loving it. We're loving the conversation. So keep them coming. And I'm glad you just went to that because one of the things applies to that scene. Exactly. One of the guys writes, or girls, but I believe it's a male. Note also the fact that the protagonist is a former almost priest, which is the detective Connelly. And that's a hint that he'll be able to put the religious clues together faster than his less knowledgeable partner, who, by the way, his last name is incidentally Cohen, implying that he's a descendant of priests. Just a little insight, you know, we're not religion experts. Nobody watching the show needs to be. They do reveal things for you, but you know, that's a really big insight right there from one of our viewers. So thank you for sharing.
And we got a hint of exactly what that viewer said tonight when Psalm 17:8, he began to quote that by heart, Peter Connelly.
Yeah.
And saying,
out of his pocket. He was like,
like God saying, you are the apple of my eye and this sort of thing. And yeah, that led to Megiddo. Megiddo was the end of that scene and that conversation, that specific arena in the evening, where then they were like, Megiddo, that means Armageddon, baby. I mean, we're talking end of the world stuff here.
And that's a town? That was a town in Israel?
Well, there was 3 different places, like Rome, and then
Istanbul,
and then the other one.
Yep, Israel.
Okay, and then Israel. So,
and obviously that's where they are. This is where it takes place. So they think the stone is going to be there.
Okay, and then, right. You mean the final stone?
The final stone that they're looking for.
Okay, so that's what they were up on. And, you know, you really had to track. I mean, you have to pay attention to the show. Because, I mean, there's a lot, not just foot action, but
you know, the words they're throwing out there, it's a very smart show, and you do need to know a little bit. But, I mean, like I said, they reveal it to you. You just need to have patience with Dig.
Right, and digdecoded.com, they also go through a lot of these clues.
Oh, that's
so when
great.
you find them out, and they're having a sweepstakes, and you can win this amazing trip somewhere around the world if you're following these clues, which is pretty cool. So where is the war tablet was the question.
Right.
And it's not on display. He said even the president of the United States is not allowed to see it. And like you said, the curator ended up dead before they even were able to go in and see it. So then Youssef Khalid is one step ahead, and they are on his track. I mean, they are trying to find him, but then of course he's still as a statue in a museum.
Right. So, you thought that was funny. Like, hello, aren't they looking for somebody just walking around? But honestly, I was a little... it was interesting to me how the writers made it where he's one step ahead of them, because we don't know how or why he's one step ahead of the detectives. What gave him the information that the curator at that time was going to be taking out? They must have intel or some sort of... when you record, you know...
You're able to sort of GPS and track people.
Yes.
Yes.
So... they had that in on the detectives. Somehow he has that. He has a knowledge.
Is it that, or is it they're in a race and they're both kind of tracking the same conspiracy and coming to these same conclusions as who can get there quicker?
Possibly.
Okay, because then this was very interesting, because you've got the rabbi that Khalid had taken
Rabbi Lev.
the war tablet to, and they are looking at it, but he throws it across the room, and I liked how that was shot and choreographed, edited, and just it was very well done, because they were going back and forth and drawing you more and more into
absolutely
more of an intense situation.
I thought it made it for a great viewing. You know what I mean? It was definitely interesting to see. So I liked that part.
Yeah, and so it came out that they're hot on his trail. I mean, they are hot on his trail. So they actually had turned it over, and he had the white piece of paper to decode the clues. So they're thinking this through, and they have their expert, which is the uncle, and that was good. That was really pretty amazing to see all that unfold. So,
you know, if I could just say one thing, Emma had the piece of paper. So how far did she get before she died? And on her own, or with the help of whoever, that she was able to find that piece of paper and decode it herself, make the squares in the holes of where it needed to go on the tablet.
Yes, because she was studying underneath that sort of infamous
archaeologist,
famous archaeologist who's tied in with the U.S. ambassador and then also Rabbi Lev.
Right, you're right.
So that's getting pretty dirty.
It is, yeah. And then you don't wonder why she was killed. She was getting a little too smart for them.
Right. And now let's go on to another storyline.
Absolutely.
Avram finally lands in Split, Croatia. His curls and all.
Yeah.
So he gets there with the red heifer, and the man picks him up. Well, there's Elena, and wow, she's a cutie.
Yeah.
In the front of the pickup truck there, and he's like, oh, kind of like he's naked or something.
Right.
Like he can't sit next to her in the, in the front of the cab. And then the man says, oh, you're just going to be sitting next to her. But then they end up stopping at the gas station so that Avram can then have a change of clothes, look more American or civilian.
Right. More civilian, right.
Yes. So he starts enjoying this girl. He seems like he's falling in love, which is
she does wind up almost seeing him naked later in the shower.
Yes.
Which is big no-no. He was so shy. It was like, don't look at me.
Well, and like you pointed out, it looks like they're of a different religion because of the cross and the picture of Jesus. And
she even said, I've never seen a Jew like you before.
What do you think that meant?
I thought she meant Jew in general, like anybody of that faith. But then she said, like you. So maybe she meant Hasidic.
And then he was so happy dancing around, and you're hoping this is going to get somewhere. Then he sees the cross, remembers he's on a mission, doesn't want to get distracted.
Pulls him back in.
Right, and runs away kind of out of compulsion, guilt. Like, I better get back on track here.
I think he was nervous. I think he saw the faith and I think it just reminded him he's not amongst his people who are all in this really die hard, we're going to give up our lives for this red heifer. So I need to protect it. This is my job. I should not be out playing around and dancing around with these people that I don't really know. And I think that it was that. I don't know if the faith or the cross or the Jesus sign, I don't know if they just reminded him of that or, he just had a check moment of, I'm here for a job and I need to go do my job.
Right. So he does end up back with the red heifer. Meanwhile, there's a guy covered in ashes.
Yeah.
Totally stark in his birthday suit out there doing some unique sort of praying.
Yeah. In a foreign language.
Right. Which I believe that goes back to my personal opinion, Numbers 19 too.
Okay.
Where he's kind of cleansing himself. And then it looks like he's after the red heifer.
Right. I mean, he absolutely is. And I thought he was an Essene. I'm going to say this correctly this time. So we thought that's what he was to begin with, but they even said that the Essenes, the sons of light, they would die before the prophecy came true. But I'm confused because if he is an Essene, why would he talk to the cow? And well, obviously later he does that. He speaks to the cow and he says, this isn't our time yet. As if he's, like you said, with the ashes, he seems like he's trying to do a ritual of some sort. Why would he be doing all of that if he just wants to stop the prophecy altogether?
Excellent.
So who is he?
Yeah, he does seem to be cleansing for his own sacrifice as well as the cow.
Right.
And remember also flashing back briefly to Emma Wilson, who had the sample of the cow. And how that also was another clue that she had. So she had already gotten down this far down the road. She did. And I am also in the process of still looking up that symbol, by the way.
On her
back.
That
is on her back on the poster of the show. I'm going to find out what that is. And you're not going to stop me. But you can tweet me and tell me what it is if you want to give me a clue. Okay?
Yeah. You guys out there are very knowledgeable, so we appreciate the help with that. It's great.
It is. So moving on, let's go on to Debbie. Debbie in the compound. Lots going on with her. She was in hysterics tonight. Total hysterics. Well, I mean, I would be too if I was chained up in a compound and locked in with a secret code and then behind barbed wire fences.
She's not getting out again. She knew it.
But they love her.
They do, and their family. So creepy.
Yeah, and she's trying to say, hey, don't you see the truth here? I guess the Emperor with No Clothes. Do you remember that book?
Right, yeah.
and she's like, I'm too brainwashed to see the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm in denial mode. The big denial mode.
Mm-hmm. And then she has her little hero, the guy she called from last episode, come save her, which I thought that guy was done with the phone call. I thought he was off the map, but he comes in looking for her at the diner with a happy picture from their past, which lets you into that. And, you know, he's looking for her. I couldn't believe he went all the way to the compound, knocks on the door with a gun, no backup, no nothing. I mean, if you're walking into a cult, I think we all know you're not going to go in there and ask for what you need.
Right.
You're going to go in there and fake it and be like, yes, I really want to be part of your cult. And like, okay, I buy into it. You know?
He seemed kind of backwoods, and he's like, I got my pistol here.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take it out and see what's up. And
He wasn't taking it slow.
I'm going to take on this compound leader, you know?
Yeah.
And he goes in, he's like, no, she's here somewhere. And he's determined to go find her. Here's her voice. But then this is how good Pastor Ted Billingham is, played by David Costabile, which is just brilliant.
Yes.
How believable is he in that role? And he does some serious crazy making.
He does.
So, of course, now here's the thing. Anytime somebody's pointing out somebody's faults in a situation like that,
It's a giveaway.
yeah, I mean, he's like, oh, well, she was a drug addict. Well, she didn't have any money.
And this guy's like, I know, I lived with her. You know, they had that conversation last time.
Yeah.
He knew.
Tell
Are
me
you using
something.
again? You know?
Tell me something I don't know.
I thought the pastor was going to knock him on the head and they were going to
Right.
capture him too, but they let him go.
Yeah, and then something happened with the box in the
Of
car,
stuff.
and the ring had fallen out. And so I'm not sure, was that a ring that he had given her, or was that not her stuff?
I thought my thought process went the same as you. Oh, that's her ring. So he's seeing something in it. Oh no, that's not her ring. Maybe he knows it's not her stuff. But you just don't know. I mean, maybe there's something in the ring that he knew specifically.
Yeah, I'm saying right here, homie's going to bring his posse, and they're not going to be in the Blue Town, okay? There's going to be a showdown.
I think so too. I don't know what posse he has, but he's not leaving that place quietly. He's going to go back and look for her, I think.
Which she needs some help.
Yeah, she does.
Because guilty.
Yeah. And scene. Like, that was the end of the episode. And Joshua, the creepy kid, you know, says, you're determined guilty.
Yes, and that creepy kid, by the way, you know, he plays both of the parts. The one that had been shot, which was really controversial with a child, with it happening on this show in particular.
Yep.
But I like the fact that he is playing the other character, so he really is, you know, alive.
Good young actor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But Zen McGrath, yeah, he is really believable in that part. He seems brainwashed. He seems, because the pastor says, deliver the word of God, or, you know, something like this. And he's like, guilty. I'm like.
He didn't even hesitate, really.
Yeah. So they've got it in for her. Well, I did not expect her outburst, because here, you know, they're confronting her in front of this entire congregation. She was doing a good part, playing the role.
Right. Like, save yourself. We thought she was going to just buy into it and be like, let me see how far I could go with this now. You know?
Yeah, but after all that torture, it was deep inside.
She's
and
over it.
It came out. It was like, you pervert the word of God. She was like, you are the ones who need to be forgiven. Is that good? A good Laura Ambrose?
You did great.
Yeah, she's
she's no
amazing.
fear, you know? I think that's a really good twist to do for that character, because she's no fear. She has faith of her own that she's either going to be saved or going to be killed, but she knows that she's not going to go down without a fight. And I think that's a really strong move for that character. You know, it doesn't let us think that she's just playing a game. I honestly don't think the character is smart enough to play that game for as long as she could. She's really hurt by what they did to her, Joshua. And she's confused and I think a little self-pity as to how she got herself into this situation. Right? You know?
Yeah, because now she's starting to see the light.
Yeah.
Debbie, who is, again, played by Lauren Ambrose. What an amazing.
I can't stop thinking of her. You guys got to agree with me on this if you remember. Can't Hardly Wait. She was a great part of that movie. She was just like the frumpy friend of Seth Green, and like, I just loved it.
So are you
Loved
finding her believable in this intensity?
I am.
Tonight?
I am.
Okay.
It's a way different role from Can't Hardly Wait, like 20 years ago. I don't even know when that movie came out, but it was forever ago. And she's come a really long way as an actress since that. I know she's been in 6 Feet Under and a bunch of other shows, and she's great. I think she's really great. It's an interesting role for her.
Yeah, and then also another clue when the boyfriend was leaving. Remember the woman that had the beat up face and the
Faye?
Yes. Okay, Faye. Well, the waitress, she was. I loved her as a character actor on the show tonight.
Very much.
She was like, oh Lord. She's. It was just. I thought I love those type of characters.
So, because they're in New Mexico, did you relate to her a little bit, being from Texas?
Well, maybe that was
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I've had an interaction or two with those type of waitresses.
Exactly. I love it. Just that whole like, hey, I don't know what they got going on over there, but
Tell me what's going on.
irks me a little bit.
Yeah. And she just said it like it is, very plain spoken, when everybody else
Which is
seems
great.
to be brainwashed in that town.
Or hiding and telling secrets.
And of course, that evil police officer kind of pulled
Creeps
up right
by.
there.
He saw him.
The one that's in on the compound action. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting because now the climax is happening with her, the woman, Debbie, in the compound being confronted. We know that guilt. What does that mean?
I don't know. That's why I hope that he comes back and saves her, because it looks like she doesn't have that much time left. You know? She's guilty. Does that mean you get to sit in solitary and confinement, or are you going to get brought out into the dirt like Joshua and shot by Faye?
No.
Revenge from Faye for her
'cause
almost breaking her nose.
Well, she flat out told him, "You're the one that needs to be forgiven."
Yeah. I don't think she's going to go down without a fight. If they have her, she's going to go after somebody. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting.
Well, let's touch on Lynn. Lynn Monahan was confronted by the U.S. ambassador tonight because, as we know in the last episode, there was the big dinner, and Jason Isaac's character, Peter Connelly, busts into this dinner that's an international dinner of extreme importance, and he's looking like a basket case because he's grief-stricken over what had happened in the States with his daughter. His daughter had died, and it looks like she's committed suicide. That's what they have said. Of course, right now, it's hard to trust any kind of facts in some ways. So it's like you find out a fact, and then you're kind of lifted up from it. And then it's like, okay, where should I land on this?
Right.
So, her exchange with the U.S. ambassador was very interesting because she says, "You have a blind spot," and starts pointing the finger at Jason Isaac. You know, Peter Connelly, she's like alluding, and then she just points out, asks, are they having an intimate relationship? And she...
What do you say to that? I mean, how does she answer it? She should have said no. I was screaming, say no, say no.
I loved the way that was written because the person in authority knew to ask the question instead of making an accusation.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was excellent writing. And how are you feeling about the photography and some of the action scenes tonight?
They were great. I really liked the detectives going after Khalid on the motorbike, dirt bike. He had a dirt bike, and that's what I was saying. Khalid has a beard, and he's all shy, and he's talking to the ambassador in episode 2, I believe it was, and he doesn't know what to do next, and he's got to give her the stone. He wants to get rid of it. Now all of a sudden, homeboy shaves his beard, and he knows where everything is. He's on top of it. He's super slick. He's quiet. He gets in and out of these, guarded up areas, and then he's on a dirt bike. When did he learn to do that?
He was able to chisel that stone very quickly.
Okay.
I thought, how could that be that superficial? But
I think that's a little crazy how amazing of a thief he became all of a sudden, and I don't know if terrorist is the word, but he just became an expert instead of someone who gets caught for killing a store owner back in America. It almost seems like it was a farce to begin with. But he's just gotten really good really fast, and I don't know if I buy into that. So
Okay. Very interesting. I love those insights.
Thank you.
Well, should we get into
They're better than my predictions, but
well,
let's go into
I want
predictions.
to hear them anyway.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay. Well, I would like to first share that Ori, his character, Detective Cohen, we found out as he was with the man in the bed. And
The man in the bed.
Which Wow, this is like back to back because last I had no idea that there could be a homosexual bar in Israel. I just didn't put that together in my mind. I don't know, the holy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally hear you.
Okay.
It's not something you think of.
Yeah.
When you think of Jerusalem.
We all have stereotypes and things, and we're like,
right.
Okay, yeah. And then, so this was also a shock, another stunner. But okay, all that to say that Youssef Khalid is going to, in my opinion, my prediction is he is going to do a similar thing. He's going to attract him because he's got different looks. So I think he's going to attract him as a lover at some point.
No way.
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Wow. That's out there. That's bold.
So, and I think it's going to do him in.
Do you think that Cohen's not going to know who he is?
Right.
Really?
Yes. So he might have a spat with the person he's with now.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love it. Keep going. They meet in the same bar that Khalid met. He knows where to bring him.
And
that's funny.
So that's just one of my thoughts. How about you tonight?
Great. Well, I do have one, and a lot of you guys out there have been reminding us and commenting on the fact that the whole basis of this show is purity. And I think that's a really good assumption and prediction and, just something to point out there. And everything with the prophecy is based on the purity. So going from there, I'm going to go with Lauren Ambrose or Debbie is going to do something. Like I said, she will not go down without a fight, but I think she's not going to just try and save her life. I think she's going to try to ruin the prophecy best she can. And as far as she knows, the only thing she gets right now is the kid being pure. So I think she's going to try and mess with him or try and mess with that somehow. That's my personal prediction as far as Debbie and that whole Blue Man group, as we call it, the cult goes. But I would like to say another prediction, and this actually comes from someone who's putting comments on our YouTube page. We hear you. We love it. Not an ignoramus is their name. I thought that's awesome. And he isn't, because he or she, again, makes really good comments on the page, and I'm reading them and I love it. I think this is going to shock you. Okay. So everyone is confused as to who the Joshes are and how and I thought that they maybe genetically mutated another one or, created one.
Right.
He says that he thinks that Joshua that we see now was raised by Faye, while the other Joshua was raised by Debbie, which might mean that they were actually twins at birth. And so there were two, but they wouldn't have known because Debbie was not her mother. She was just a caretaker. How would you know? And that would explain a difference in the personalities as well, because Faye is very uptight and serious, and he is very serious and gets the whole thing and, is into the whole religion and read his Haftorah and all of that. And then the other Joshua was light and fun and happy and, just wanted to live his life.
Right. And that...
Did that shock you a little bit or no? It makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does make sense.
I think instead of being mutated into being such twins might be a nice answer to that.
They do look exactly.
They are, yeah.
So that's
identical.
That's a fair estimate as well. Now back to the compound. I was just going to say and touch on this, that to get into a situation, there's got to be desperation. There's got to be such utter desperation to let someone else have control over you.
And brainwash you, yeah.
Yeah, and make you believe all these things. So you have to know what you believe. And that's what's interesting also about the three dynamics happening is everybody feels like what they believe is right. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, everybody's headed in the same direction. And so that's really a very interesting thing we're seeing unfold every week. And it looks like next week's going to have some action based off of the trailer, the teaser. So.
I'm worried about it because based on the trailer, it was a lot of stuff going on in just the trailer versus this whole episode, which that was enough for this week. This week was enough information. I felt like we got caught up. A lot of people online are telling us about the whole prophecy and describing it, and they did that in this episode. And so if you don't get it, people, wait, have patience. The TV show and the network will fulfill those answers for you, I feel like, eventually.
Right, and so will I, because I have gotten inundated with tweets. So I'm totally catching up, and I look forward to sharing those. I tried to print the tweets, but
there you go.
I'm just saying. All right, I can't be old school with this new stuff.
It's okay. You'll get it.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't, we'll bring phones next time and keep up to date with what's going on with the tweets, maybe.
Sounds right to me. Well, I'm Mindy Thomas.
Thanks, guys. I'm Andrea Fasano at Andy Fasano, and keep them coming.
Have a great night. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.